Ages we were owned by kings and queens, earls and counts, barons and lords, tsars, dukes, duchesses, countesses, baronesses, archdukes, who had their knights and templars working as their police force for them to control the sheeple. Just as it is today, nothing has really changed. Or does anyone think they just disappeared like that? They were parasiting on the people and the workers, who had to give taxes and percentage of wheat, vegetables and cattle. And many times the sheeple starved to death in winter after a bad harvest. While these parasites and pharaohs were partying in the castle, drunk of the wine they had stolen, their bellies well fed, with robbed food that should have been for all those hungry children. And they had their beds warmed up with young virgins of the sheeple due to the prime noctus, droit de cuissage, droit du seigneur or first right, allowing these parasites to grab the newlywed bride on the very night of her wedding to come and lay with the Lord and Master, thus spreading the Pharaonic genetics all over. Yes, the word Pharaoh etymologically derives from two demotic words, per and a, meaning the big house. The big royal house of the Pharaonic royal bloodline, as my dear friend William Morgan, 1776, so cleverly discovered that Genesis actually means the gene of Isis, and Geneva in the octagon base, gene of Eve, being one and the same one. I'm so glad my pupils are getting smarter than me, so I can retire soon. Just as the pharaohs never disappeared, the nobility never lost their power either. The word aristocracy is Pharaonic, aristocracy. A means big or pregnant, and ri means the sun, meaning those who come from the sun. Just as the Aryans, the Indo-Germanic nobility and upper class, Aryan is from Arion, as in aristocracy, which means that those who came from the sun with their blue blood and all their ruling, and they still do. Don't be mistaken. And here at this royal ball, well, we can see the pharaoh here. So, you know, that's where they came from. It's the same. That's just the same. And today, children disappear and they get raped, tortured, sacrificed and murdered in castles like Amérois in Belgium and Sautou in Luxembourg and many other places as the Bohemian Grove by very organized gangs like the Dutroux gang and by Fourniret, whose name indicates to deliver the king, fournir roi, without children in this case. The nobility always were into Satanism and other dark mystical practices of their pharaonic ancestors as ritual child sacrifice. They always did and they always will, protected by their knights, police and authorities. In the 18th century there was Marquis de Sade, where the word sadism actually comes from. So I don't have to tell you what his favorite pastime hobbies were about. Napoleon Bonaparte finally put him in prison for 10 years after his arrest in 1801, and he died in 1814. Prince Charles publicly admitted in 2011 that he's a descendant of the Prince of Wallachia, or Vlad Dracul, the Impaler of Transylvania, as we know him. He lived from 1431 till 1476, and his favourite hobbies were torture and impaling. Impaling means having implanted a stick up yours, coming out from the mouth and then set up in the ground vertically, being his interpretation of a crucifixion. Well, look at the 8-pointed star on his forehead. That's octagon, right? Nobility. He did this to 100,000 people, mostly Saxons, and even the Ottoman Muslim army turned around and went back when they came to a forest of 20,000 impaled. From 1730 to 1801 we had the Russian nobility under the Tsar with Darya Nikolaevna Saltykova, torturing and murdering at least 200 people. This is the nobility, folks. They always did it, and they never stopped doing it. From 1560 to 1614, Countess Erzsébet Báthory of the Hungarian nobility, also called the Blood Countess, tortured and murdered 650 virgins of the Sheeple, because she believed that bathing in a virgin's blood would keep her young forever. She and her fellow aristocrats even constructed an ingenious metal structure in which the victims could bleed to death, still being alive and sadistically tortured on the way. So this is the coat of arms of the royal Báthory, of the Blood Countess. Ex-President Sarkozy of France comes from the Hungarian aristocracy, being related to the Blood Countess, as the Pharaonic part Tsar in his name means king in Demotic. And this is the Blood Castle, where she was imprisoned in 1610, only because the Sheeple started an uprising after 650 of their virgins disappeared. So it took the Sheeple 650 victims to act. How typical. The American Sheeple even need more. 3,000 victims sacrificed at 9/11 for another liquid, and still counting. The Americans act big, martial and Spartanic at the shooting range with the best goodies you can imagine, waiting though to be hauled up for the slaughterhouse without ever having used their goodies. And watch here, we can see the airplane going through concrete and steel and coming out on the other side intact, as if nothing has happened. Oh, they made a big mistake here. Baron Gilles de Rais was an aristocratic French serial killer who lived from 1404 to 1440, who sodomized, tortured and murdered at least 600 boys and girls from the age of 6 to 18, together with his accomplices Poitou and Henriet. He used to laugh seeing his victims dying while he opened up their stomachs, admiring their intestines, a thing he was fascinated with. And look at this. This is his seal of his royal house of de Rais, and here we can see the Templars cross just on the Swiss Army knife, the same. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because most cases are not known, because the Sheeple and stupid white race couldn't even read or write to document it all. So the two parasites in society were, and still are, the aristocracy and the ecclesiastical orders of the priests of Amun, who never worked and always lived of the blood of others, in some cases even literally. Over the years and centuries, these parasites grew fat, never hungered, having great parties with music and troubadour, and just reproducing like rabbits in between the parties. And all descendants wanted to be king or queen and have the castles. So wars broke out between them, which the sheeple had to fight out. Nice haircut. Oh, what a legs. And what a nice shoes. And once a king, he wanted to stay king forever, and then even handed over to his pedigree. So rivalry started, and after hundreds of years of wars between the kingdoms and second son aristocracy, as the Templars, etc., they finally came together and decided to elect a king by the stupid sheeple for 4 years only. And so democracy started. And due to the increasing revolts, revolutions and uprisings of hungry peasants, the parasites of the nobility decided to go underground in Freemason lodges, divided in 33 degrees, indicating in fact the degree of Pharaonic genes of the noble bloodlines in their veins. That's why Bernhard, the SS Prince of Darkness, founded the Bilderberger, who stand, due to their pure Pharaonic blood, even over the usual 33 degrees of Pharaonic percentage. It's like a bottle of whiskey, you know, like having 33 degrees of alcohol in it. And they have 33 degrees of Pharaonic genetics. And don't think that Kate Middleton, Cosima and the girls of the so-called civil marriages with the nobility don't have a certain degree of Pharaonic bloodline in their veins. They all have. There are just so many of them nowadays hiding amongst us and all trying to get a key position with the authorities where they can parasite on humanity without working a single day. So the pharaohs never went away. They became the aristocracy and the nobility. And the nobility never lost power and they never really went away. They rule through their politicians and Freemason lodges.
That you learn, the love you give Is this your true world definition? You cannot help where your heart's not wanted. You cannot escape from your reality. Give me more of your salvation. Hello, are you listening to me? Hello, why don't you speak a word to me? I try to see you in my future. I try to find you in my past. Let me feel your recognition. I can taste that, the way you look. I guess it was the right decision. My thoughts are my Bible, that's by what I live. Hello, are you listening to me? Hello, why don't you speak a word to me? I try to see you in my future. I try to find you in my past. You live your life between these worlds. Color twists around your body. You and I got lost in rainbows. Our dreams were never made to last. Hello, are you listening to me? Hello, why don't you speak a word to me? I try to see you in my future. I try to find you in my past. I try to see you in my future. I try to find you in my past. I try to see